accessibility to try to make our research known into a lot of different countries where they don't speak Spanish, for example. I made an exercise with my own library from Leicester, and I looked for the term archaeology, and of course the majority of the results are in English, then French, German, Spanish, and Italian. Then in the second case, I looked for the word arqueología, the Spanish word, even with the accent. Majority of the results are in English as well, even though I looked for something that was in Spanish. Also, I think it's important to understand who is the intended audience. Of course, but if I'm going to talk in Mexico, I'm not going to talk in English, in different terms. I could change my language, change the words, saying to accommodate the people who I'm talking to. I'm going to be like, no, you should learn English, because if you want to understand my research, you should understand English, which for me it's not fair. I'm going to read this phrase because I think I made it quite well. English can undoubtedly facilitate communication and collaboration on a global scale. However, it's essential to recognize and respect the value of research produced in other language, which is an example that I have been doing a lot of times. And I have this image here where someone is like, oh, this has never been researched before. I found a research gap. But actually, this has been researched before in China, Brazil, Russia, Mexico, but the research has only been published in Mandarin, Portuguese, Spanish, Russian. That doesn't mean that no one has even researched that in the past. The problem is that you don't know that other languages exist and they have already done that research that you think it's a research gap. Third one, and I think here I'm going to put a lot of gossip in my slides. It is easier to publish in English than in other languages. Yes, there are more journals, books, websites to publish your research, but there is an expectation of native proficiency. I found this thread in Twitter, and I'm going to read the tweets. The first one says, are journals actually permissive about English as academic lingua franca, or do many demand research be written in native like English? For now, still the latter. Twitter has dozens of researchers mentioning reviewer advice to consult a native speaker just within the last month. This is something that was incredible for me. Even if you write native English review, you're going to find lots of tweets, a lot of gossip. So it's fun if you're in the bathroom and you're bored if you want to see some gossip. But these are some of the tweets that were in the thread. Well, it finally happened. I was recommended to have a native English speaker review my manuscript. On the right, I put the roles of these people. There is another one. I got this comment in my last review, and the other co-author is a native English speaker, but I will always cover my Spanish surname. I had this experience before. And this one that I think it's really interesting. I've had a medical journal manuscript reviewer tell me to get my papers reviewed by a native English speaker because they didn't like my syntax. I only speak English. I'm Australian. I was in the top 0.5 for TEE English, and my essays were used as model answers. So probably it's not so expecting native proficiency, but probably more dark about the economics and the, say, dark side of publishing. So I'm going to read the tweet on the right, sorry. And it is, we just got reviewer comments back on a manuscript. One of the major recommendations is for a native English speaker to review and edit our manuscript. Authors are native English speakers, by the way, and then journal offers link to its pricey copy editing service. I'm going to go a little bit quicker. The fourth one, archaeological theory or archaeological research is only done in English? Of course not. There is this idea that the international community does archaeological theory or archaeological research, and this meme wasn't by Johnny, thank you. So you can see the international community they are referring to. As you can see, Mexico is not there. And lots of different countries are not there, and even I think sometimes international community doesn't count the Mediterranean countries in Europe as well. So just to have that in mind. And I will read some writing that I did reading Mignolo's paper, that it's about decolonizing knowledge. And we'll read this directly, and I'm not going to apologize for that. The decolonization of knowledge, he suggests, occurs in acknowledging the sources and geopolitical locations of knowledge, while at the same time affirming those modes and practices of knowledge that have been denied by the dominance of particular forms, the particular forms being knowledge produced in English. He is not arguing simply for a geopolitics of location as central to any academic endeavor, but rather a consideration of what that geopolitics enables to be known, only the things that have been written in English, and how it is to be known in English. He argues for a decolonial epistemic shift that enables the histories and thought of other places to be understood as prior to European incursions, and to be used as the basis of developing connected histories of encounters through those incursions. And this one, because of time. And the last assumption. Having an accent or showing you don't speak fluently is sometimes perceived as exotic or as indicative that the speaker lacks proficiency in the subject matter. It depends. It's something from person to person. I cannot say, oh, all the people from the US discriminate people that have an accent. I cannot do that. It's generalizing. But the reality is that some people are more understanding of it that someone could have while talking in another language that it's not theirs. Well, some other people are like, perfectly, if not, you're not worth it. The personal story I was going to tell you about was happened during my master's. I had tons of different professors during my master's that were really, really great. The problem was that when I was in Italy, the professors were Italian. One of the professors was excellent completely. She was amazing, but with a strong Italian accent. Well, there was another professor, Italian as well, but she had her undergrad, master's, and PhD in the States. So her accent was completely, like her Italian accent was not possible to be perceived at all. So all of the people from my cohort agreed that the best professor that we had in the entire master's was the one that was studying in the States. Not because she was amazing in what she was doing, but she was really good showing that she doesn't have an Italian accent, and the way of flattening her own accent, like native speaker, made her that was more professional, more intellectual, more academic worthy than others. It had the students that we taught. Some were speaking a little bit slowly, and they were perceived as slowly academically as well, or that their research was not worth it just because their accents were a little bit stronger than others. And beyond me, but I'd like you to invite you to the if you would like to join, this is the QR code. If not, you could ask me and I can add you to the about languages in academia. I don't have any time for questions, but if you have questions, we can talk in the pub with a drink, and my accent would be more fluent, I think. Thank you.